chaps. Today we're going to talk about percentiles. Now, percentile is not difficult, but there's a little bit of confusing elements here. The reason is that different people define it slightly different. So I'm going to just teach you that, and next year add a little bit to it with graphs. But don't get confused. It's not a big deal. Okay, really, at the end of the day, when it comes to the matric, it doesn't play a huge part, and you will get it. Okay, it's just learn how to do it without thinking about it too much. So let's just think about quartiles. Okay, quartiles. Well, we had Q1, Q2, Q3. These three numbers help us divide our whole set of data into 4 bits. Okay, we had Q2, which is just split half in the middle. Okay, and then the Q1 splits first half, and the Q3 split the second half. So we had 4 sections all the way up to Q1, between Q1 to Q2, to Q2 to Q3, and from Q3 to the highest mark, or highest whatever it is. Okay, so we split into 4 quartiles. That's what we call quartiles, quarters. But now you can do the same thing and split all your data into 100 bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 100. So that's what we call percentile. Okay, so you can say your top. You might have heard it, top 99%. Okay, that means you might have. Let's say you have data of all marks in maths, matric in that year. Okay, and let's say you got 95. Okay, now you can say you got 95%. Maybe the stats will tell you you are the top 99%. What does that mean? That you achieved higher marks than 99% of the people in the country. And 1% of the people in the country achieved higher marks than you. And that's what the top 99% means. Somebody is in the 10th percentile. That means that 90% of the people in the country achieved better than Shane. Okay? He achieved better than 10% of the people in the country. Okay? So in a way you can think about it as Q1, low quartile, is like your 25%. If you're in the Q1, that means you achieved better than 25% of the population, but worse than 75% of the people in the country. Median, your Q2, is like your 50th percentile. Q3 is your, correct, the 75 percentile. Now, the main thing is just to use that formula. So I'm working with example 9, page 232. Please pause me now, open the book, read the first question. Okay, there's some marks in maths, and I'm not going to write all these marks. I think it's 45 marks. First step to do is to write them in order. I know this is what it is about stats. It's not difficult, but it's just a bit tedious. Okay, right. So you put them in order, and then there's a question: which mark is the 70th percentile? How do we do that? Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. Just use the formula. Okay? You want to know which mark are you looking for. Is it the first, the second, the third, the fourth? It's not going to be the 70th mark because it's only 45 marks. So which one is it? So how are we finding the index? Which mark? That's the index. Which mark are we looking for? Which order? So what we do, we take the percentile. Okay? In this case, it's 70. Divided by 100 because it's in percent, 70th percentile. And we time it by the number of marks we have, or number of data. That kind of makes sense. We just do percent times the overall we have. In this case was 45. Now what they got, I didn't really do it, is 31.5. So we're looking for 31.5, but there isn't 31.5. There's 31, there's 32. So which one am I looking at? So there's a rule, very important rule here, always round up. Always round up. And when I say round up, I don't mean, 31.5, I know how to round, it's 32. Even if this was, let's say, 31.2, even if it was 31.2, you still go to 32. You always round up. Why? I'll try and explain, but if you don't get it, really don't worry about it. Just remember, round up. If, let's say, I had 31.2, and then you would say, okay, I'm going to look for the 31st. But if you choose the 31st, I mean, what is the 70th percentile? The 70th percentile means that you achieved better than more than 70% of the population. But now if the answer is 31.2 and you're going to 31, then you're actually lower than the 70th percentile. Because the 31 was already below that 70%. If that makes sense. It's a bit difficult to explain. So you're always going to go one up to 32. And then you know 70% of the people achieve lower than you. Okay? Let's do the next one. Here we are asked to find out what mark was the 20th percentile. So the same thing, I'm going to do I equal 20 divided by 100, percent divided by 100, and time it by the overall n, which is in this 45. And I think they got 9. Did they? Yes. Okay, they got 9. Now, right. Okay, let me just pause you for a second. Okay, so now your first kind of instinct will say, okay, so I'm looking for the ninth mark. Mark 9 from the bottom. So in this case, I think ninth mark was 52. So you'll kind of, you'll feel like your instinct will tell you, okay, the answer is 52, it's spot on 9. But remember, if I choose 52%, okay, then 20% below 52 is, the people who got less than 52, okay, will be less than 20%. The 20% must include 52. So really what I'm looking for is a percentage above that. Okay, so I'm looking at what the 10th person gets. And the 10th person, okay, in this case, was 54%. Okay? 54%. So your percentile, the 20th percentile in this case, even though it's spot on 9, okay, the answer is not 52%. It's going to be the average between 52 and 54. So it's going to be 52 and 54 divided by 2. It's 53%. That is going to be your 20th percentile. Because your 53%, okay, means that 20% below 53 got 20% of population got below 53, and that includes a 52. In other words, you just need to always think you need to go one up, round up. Okay? Like I said, don't worry about it. I know it's confusing. I'm confused with that as well, but it's really not a huge deal. Okay? That's it about percentile. We'll see you next week or this week, depends how I'm going to cut it up when we're going to carry on. We've got a few more lessons with stats. Cheerio.